Hey up everybody, and welcome back to another Velogames video. As you can see, we're in a different setting. That's because this weekend we're in the Lake District, and therefore I've just tried to find somewhere with some decent lighting, and yeah, we're going to talk through the Velogames picks that you can make. Of course, we don't have a microphone here today, so I'm just using the microphone on the GoPro, so hopefully this is okay, which is why I'm sat a bit closer to you guys. Anyway, Velogames for this round, Amstel Gold Race. Of course, we missed it last year, and it's a different course. It's just it's a 13 laps of 17 odd kilometers, so it's 200-ish k. It's really up and down, a bit like a World Champs from last year. Perhaps not as hard, but similar-esque to that. So on screen, you can see right now is a team that I've got together: Alaphilippe, Roglic, Hirschi, three big favourites, and then Vingegaard, Simon Carr, and Adi Schelling. Adi Schelling, who I did say to put on your Primoz team, and he ended up coming fourth. So I'm not just giving out rubbish advice here. This is a pretty decent team. I think it covers two bigger favourites in Alaphilippe and Roglic. Hirschi is a bit, maybe not. Still a bit undecided there. And then Vingegaard looks so good at Basque Country, and he's only 6 points. Carr looked good in Strade Bianchi, and this isn't a cobbled race, and he's a very good climber, and it's got lots of elevation. And Schelling is probably Bora's second best option behind Schachmann, so perhaps he'll finish up with like a top 20, something like that. Of course, by all means, change this up. I've toyed with the idea of just not putting Alaphilippe on at all. I won't go with Wout Van Aerts. I think that he's on the downwards trajectory right now, and quite frankly, the only way that he's going to come back from that is just by having a rest and just time off the bike and just recovering from all that. But I don't think that he's got time for that. They'll more than likely be going with Roglic. Fuglsang, probably not. Kwiatkowski's an interesting one. Usually goes well here, but last few years hasn't been great, which pains me to say because I'm a huge Kwiatkowski fan. Kwiatkowski, I do like him, and I'd be tempted to put him on, but it's a bit of a risk, and for this I'm trying to not take risks. I'm trying to be strategic and sensible. So let's say instead of Roglic you take the winner from Le Bon Sapel, Tom Pidcock. Somebody who definitely could go well here. 200 odd kilometers is well within his reach. Lots of climbing, and for a light guy that works quite well. Is it too much climbing? We haven't really seen him in a calibre of a race with this much climbing. Le Bon Sapel was a good way of indicating that, and I'd say that he would be a good shout for a top 5 in this race. That gives you some points, 10 points to be exact, which could put you on a 16-pointer. Quite simply, you'd be looking at either Alaphilippe in a 6-pointer, or you'd be looking at a 22-pointer in Pidcock or something, and then a 16-pointer in the likes of, you got a lot of guys here. David Gaudu, who have of course looked very good at Basque Country. You've got Valentin Madouas, who is a really good puncher and somebody who could definitely finish with a top 10 in this race. I think getting higher than like a 5th, getting on the podium would be very difficult, but a top 5 could be possible. It could be possible. Dylan Teuns, of course, very similar, looked good at Le Bon Sapel, very animating the race. A rider who I'd be definitely considering putting on. And the other 16-pointer is Tim Vellens, who has gone well here in the past, but for some reason seems to not do great in the Ardennes, despite the fact that they are very suited to him. I'd say for this example, I'd be going with the safe option, and I'd probably go with Madouas or Teuns, and you know what, my heart's saying Madouas. So you could go with something like this on screen. Just to quickly send you through the 6-pointers who I like the look of. Simon Carr is one, Vingegaard is another, Schelling is a third one. You could also go with, just say a couple more. You could go with assist points and go with someone like Ian Garrison. You could go with Gogol, who looked good at Strade and is quite good over this sort of terrain. You could go, Andreas Klone is not going, rather disappointingly. Arjen Livens you could pick. And yeah, maybe Peter Seri, Quinn Simmons. There's a lot of 6-pointers that you could go with. 4-pointers I haven't really looked at, to be honest with you. I think that more than likely Sylvain Monique for Lotto Soudal came 15th for Le Bon Sapel, so definitely want to pick up there. Patrick Gamper maybe for some assist points. But other than that, I'd perhaps be going with the X guys. They'll more than likely be getting guys in the break. So I'd be picking maybe like two of. If you have to pick 2 4-pointers, I'd pick 2 X guys. Try to get somebody in the breakaway. But yes, overall, let's discuss something else. What if I think somebody else who I'm thinking about is as a 22-pointer is Aram Baru, and maybe you don't have Hershey. I'm just throwing some team options at you here. Maybe you don't go Hershey, but you pick Pidcock again. Then you use those points on Madwa, and you get a 20-pointer. Somebody who I like the look of is Warren Barguil, Arambaru, Roglic, Pidcock, Barguil. That's a strong team, and especially since Arambaru looks so good at Basque Country. Of course, the downside of this is that you don't have Alaphilippe. Difficulty with Alaphilippe is that he hasn't. The last race he did was Flanders. He didn't look great, but he also didn't look bad. So how's he going to come into this? Is he really peaking for Liège? How's he going to do in this race? First race back. I'd say that more than likely it's quite risky going against him, considering just how explosive and consistent he is in this race. I think his lowest placing is 7th, 6th in the last 4. And like every time that he's taken part, it's ridiculously consistent. So do you want to go with the safety of Alaphilippe and essentially limit yourself to 3 favourites, or do you want to go with no Alaphilippe, in which case you can kind of go with 4 favourites, kind of? Would you 5 favourites? A good probability of winning, and then you go with 2 people at the end, 2 6-pointers. That's the argument that you're giving to yourself. Let's say this isn't something that I've thought of too much. Let's pick the 2 X people riders at the bottom, right? You go something like that. That gives you an extra 4 points. You don't pick Barguil, and you pick one of the 24-pointers who I do like the look of. You've got Hershey, Matthews, Schachmann, and Van Aerts. Those are fantastic riders. If I'm picking the riders who I like the best out of here, are probably Hershey, Matthews, and Schachmann. I think that Greg Van Avermaet is similar to Wout Van Aert, in that he's going down in his trajectory. I think that Schachmann and Hershey are on the way up. I think that Matthews is perhaps a bit stagnant. Of course, he crashed the other day, so we don't know really what kind of form he is in. I'd be picking. I think if you're thinking for safety, go for Hershey or Schachmann. So you could go for something like that, like on screen. Now, the downside is that you might end up with 2 4-pointers who don't score you anything, which isn't great. On the other hand, you could pick 2 6-pointers who I think will get you points, but they might not get you loads of points. But they will more than likely get you something, whereas the 4-pointers might not get you anything. So it's, do you want everybody in your team scoring and everybody contributing? Because that could make the difference in a couple of placings here and there. I think personally, I'd be picking a team maybe like this. I'm just not sure about. I like Arambaru for 20 points. I think if you're picking a 20-pointer, go Arambaru. I'm not a massive fan of many of the other ones, which is why I'd be picking this one over the one with 2 6-pointers, because just if you have the 2 20-pointers in there, I just don't think it's as good. I'd much rather be able to get in another one of the 24-pointers because I think they look so much better. Personally, I think I'm leaning towards picking Alaphilippe. I haven't picked the favourites sometimes in the last few races, and I've paid for it, and I think that perhaps he just is the favourite. He's very exciting to watch, and I'd much rather have him on my team than not. So I think I'm probably going to end up going with Alaphilippe, Roglic, and maybe a 24-pointer, Schachmann or Hershey, and then 3 6-pointers. I think that's a pretty solid team. Alternatively, I'll go up with something with the 2 4-pointers at the bottom, the 2 X guys, and then I'll end up going with the 4 kind of favourites as well. So that's about it. Yeah, of course, if you need any additional advice, please put it in the comment section. Please ask questions. Please share your teams, any opinions that you have, and we will maybe do an overall preview for this race. And yeah, the next race will be like Romandy, La Flèche Wallonne, that kind of stuff. So keep your masks on, stay safe, and I'll talk to you next time.